This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.
The Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, says Nigeria is not yet mature enough to establish state police. At the National Dialogue on State Police organized by the House of Representatives in Abuja yesterday, the police chief insisted that the challenges to the current system should be addressed instead. The IGP was represented at the event by Ben Okolo, an Assistant Inspector General of Police. He was of the opinion that state police has the potential to be abused by state governors for political or personal gain. Meanwhile, other dignitaries present supported the creation of state police, including former President Goodluck Jonathan and the Minister of Police Affairs Ibrahim Gaidam. For more on this, we're joined by Samuel Akpan, a journalist with The Cable who attended the event. Mr. Akpan, good morning and thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
Mr. Akpan, let's begin with a general sense of how yesterday's convention conversation unfolded.
Okay, so I just give a bit background very briefly. So that dialogue yesterday was organized, to generate opinions of experts and Nigerians on the state police issue. In February, the state police bill passed second reading, and that bill is sponsored by Benjamin Kalu, Deputy Speaker of the House, and about 14 other lawmakers. So essentially, that dialogue, which was organized by the House of Reps yesterday in Abuja, was to, for stakeholders to participate and, get their opinion on how to improve the bill. So for yesterday, a lot of personalities attended. Former President Goodluck Jonathan was there. Former Head of State Abdul Salami was there. Traditional rulers, the Oni of Ife, Sultan of Sokoto, and a host of other Nigerians were there. And of course, several persons, expressed their position on the creation of state police. Jonathan is in support. Abdul Salami is in support. Oni of Ife, is in support. The federal government, which was represented by the Minister of Police Affairs, is in support. But IGP, the Inspector General of Police, of course, which stated, which was represented, is not in support, and the IGP gives arguments why.
Mr. Akpan, before we go into the reasons he gave for disagreeing with it, I mean, when AIG Ben Okolo spoke on behalf of the IG, he actually said that this was the position of the IG, but also of the police leadership. Were there other dignitaries who attended that seemed to support the stance of the police?
No. It wasn't a deliberation of arguments and counter-arguments. It was a deliberation of to state your position. So the dignitaries there, which I've earlier mentioned, stated their own position, supporting the creation of state police. So it wasn't a situation where you counter, the opinion of others.
Mr. Akpan, I'm curious to get a sense of whether these recent conversations around state policing and indeed yesterday's conversation are in any way connected to the recent proscriptions of vigilante groups, especially in states like Nasarawa State.
No, I don't think. The issue of state police has been there. In fact, for the bill, it has been there even since the 8th Assembly. So this bill has been there for a long time. It's when, at the time when you have uptick in insecurity, and it will, trigger the conversation again and again and again. So the creation of state police has been there. It's been there for a long time, and I don't think it has a link with the prosecution of some vigilantes, because this particular discussion, this particular conversation has been there in the country for some time now.
So you earlier were talking about the IG's, the arguments he made, and a very, of course, critical one was he fears state police could be abused by state governors. He made certain suggestions instead, talked about 30,000 personnel recruitment every year, talked about a few other agencies. So expand on that for us a little. What were the alternatives he proffered?
Now, so the issue of state police can be abused. It's an issue, it's a concern that has been raised by even the proponents of state police. So the argument is, how will the state police operate in such a way that it will the influence of the state governors or state actors will be so minimal. So the argument is even the opponents are of course, raising that concern. But in terms of the IGP, what he said was that the current police structure, the current police system is already bedeviled by so many issues. They don't have enough ammunition, training and retraining, vehicles, and some other things that, hampers in some extent their operations. So what he was saying is that the current police should, be given everything needed to function optimally. And even went further to suggest that the FRSC and NSCDC should be merged and they should be like a department in the police. That was his suggestion.
One of the things that came out of this conversation, Mr. Akpan, is the suggestion that you may have referred to of the FRSC and the NSCDC being merged. How serious is that suggestion in terms of the willingness to actually carry it out?
How serious? It was a suggestion. It was a suggestion that they should be merged when the police are given the necessary things that will enable them to work. And those, like you said, NSCDC and FRS should be merged for them to become a department in the police. The reasons why he made this suggestion, he didn't really know say why, but that was his suggestion. And of course, you already know the conversation ongoing about the Orisaya report about merging government agencies. So I think the proposal of merging, I don't think it was to merge police and NSCDC and FRSC. I think it was to merge road safety, VIO, and the rest.
Very well. Mr. Akpan, thank you very much for speaking with us this morning. Our guest, Samuel Akpan, is a journalist with The Cable who attended the House of Representatives conversation yesterday regarding state policing, which featured the Inspector General of Police as well as former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan and the Minister of Police Affairs Ibrahim Gaidam to discuss whether to give their opinions on the idea of state policing. Those are the conversations this morning on your Beyond the News Station Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. We ask you to stay tuned as up next is Naira and Kobo.
This is Radio Now 95.3 FM. Come for the news, stay for informed conversations.